Hello, this is Yogesh for 7000 again, and I'm back with another interesting topic. This time, a continuation of our Vastu series. And in our earlier Vastu videos, we understood as to what Vastu is. What is Vastu's connection with Vedic astrology? And what does directions mean? What does it mean to have a lot facing the right direction, or making construction in that particular lot of land at the right places so that the energies are in harmony with the people who are living in that place, or even while living in a constructed house, what way we should be facing in terms of a bedroom or an entrance, so on and so forth. Understanding what Vastu Purusha is, which is the Vastu man, and what's the mythological story behind it, and what's the logic. So we did discuss about the deities associated with the Vastu piece of land, and what are the energies which the deities carry, and all those things which we have to keep in mind before starting to live in that place or even construct a house, and what are the directions ruled by the various planets in terms of deciding which plot to purchase and where to construct various things in that plot in terms of a bedroom or a kitchen, based on those planetary energies, so that people living again should be in harmony with the energies based on the Vastu principles. And today we'll be discussing about another factor which is equally important, and that factor is based on elements or tattvas as per the Hindu principles. And Hinduism is a way of life, how they live their lives, how they made their decisions based on whatever Vedic knowledge they had. So, according to Hinduism, everything in this universe is based on five elements, Pancha Tattva as it is called. And in Sanskrit, it's called Prithvi, Jal, Vayu, Agni, and Akasha. Now, Prithvi, if you translate it, it means earth, so that's the earth element. Jala, if you translate it into English, it is water. Fire, if you Agni, if you translate it into English, that is fire. Vayu, if you translate it into English, is air. And Akasha, if you translate it into English, they meant it's space, a vacuum or space. So these are the five elements which constitute everything in this universe. So Vastu also has to be taken into consideration, or Vastu should rather take into these consideration the principles of these tattvas, or these elements in these five major elements, and that the relationship of these elements to the Vastu piece of land or a Vastu apartment or wherever you're living can make us make the right decisions as far as constructing a house or living in a house is concerned. So we need to understand what are those elements and what are the directions those elements are ruling, so that we make the right decisions, so that we can live in harmony with those energies where we are. Now, Vastu Purusha, as we've discussed, is a Purusha based on the mythological story. People who have not watched my earlier videos, I'll recommend please go and watch those. Is a Vastu man with his head facing down, facing the earth, and he is lying down diagonally, where its head is facing the northeast and the legs are facing the southwest, and they're not straight. His knees are bent. So try to imagine that a Vastu Purusha or a Vastu person or a Vastu man lives in every piece of land in this universe, or every house which is a constructed house in this universe as per the blessings given by the great god Brahma. Or even if you're living in an apartment, try to imagine that there is a Vastu Purush which is living with his head facing the north east and his legs towards the southwest. And so whatever decisions we make in placing objects and constructing, in living there, or making use of the space has to be taken into consideration based on how the Vastu Purusha has been placed. And that's how Hindus used to live their life, based on the Vastu principles. This is one. I mean, Vedic astrology is one, Vastu is one. So doing rituals is another one. So there are various things they had acquired in terms of knowledge and how they would like to live their lives. So we are talking about Vastu today, and we had, like I said earlier, understood as to what planets are ruling what directions. So what energies go with those directions based on the planet rulerships in those directions. We also discussed about the various deities, what deities are ruling what directions, so that we know that what are those energies associated with those deities when it comes to Vastu and constructing a house and living in a house or placing objects is concerned. And today we'll see another factor, which is Vastu and its relationship with the Panchatattvas, or the 5 elements. And we just discussed about these 5 elements, which are earth, water, fire, air, and space. Now, the major question here is, what directions do these elements rule over? So the earth element rules over the southwest direction. The water element rules over the northeast direction. The fire element rules over the southeast direction. The air element rules over the northwest direction. And the space element is right there in the center of it. Could be, again, it could be a plot, it could be a constructed area, and that plot where you're living in like a house, or it could be even an apartment. So imagine an apartment and consider it as a Vastu area, or even a house. Wherever you're living, there is a Vastu Purusha, or a Vastu man, whose head is facing the north east and the legs are facing the southwest. And based on the directions, there are 45 deities which rule over those various directions. That there are various energies associated with those deities, and then there are planets which are associated, the 9 planets which are associated with those directions and the energies they carry. And today we are talking about these elements which are also ruling directions and the energies which they carry, so that whenever we construct or buy, or we construct on a piece of land, or if we buy a constructed piece of land, or if we live in any constructed building, we have to take into consideration all these factors. So as far as elements goes, we've discussed the directions of these elements. So earth, as we just discussed, that it rules over the southwestern direction. So the southwestern direction could be the best area to develop greenery in that area, to have little plants, to have little trees or flowers, because it is ruling the earth element. Now do not confuse it with the planetary energy, because the planetary energy in that direction is Rahu. So don't mix it. We're just talking elements today. So the southwest direction is ruled by the planet, or by the element earth. So that would be the best area as far as having a little greenery in the earth element, putting a little pots of flowers, so on and so forth. Now the southeast element, again, planetary energy there is Venus, but because of the fire element which rules over that southeast direction, the element there is fire. So based on the fire element, the best area to have bonfires, say if you want to have, that's the southeast direction. Or even a kitchen where we have to light fires to cook food, that is the southeastern direction. That's the best direction to have things related to fire. Water is northeast direction. So water as an element, since it's northeast direction, the best place to have a swimming pool or maybe a fountain of water or anything, a little pool of water, whatever, the best place to have that would be the northeast direction, so that we are in harmony with this ancient divine Vedic science of Vastu, so as to say. And the northwest direction, which is ruling the element air, we could build up large windows where there could be a good inflow of air, where we can get air which gives us all kinds of health and prosperity based again on Vastu principles. That's the best place to have an area where there could be an inflow of air, which is again the northwest direction, because the element there in that corner, northwest corner, is ruled, or the element which rules that direction is air, Vayu in Sanskrit. And the fifth element, which is space, has to be in the center. Now, as per Vastu principles, since Brahma, if you refer to my earlier video about the Vastu Purusha or the Vastu man, where Brahma jumped on his back, that area is ruled by Brahma. But in terms of element, that area is space. And that is the reason why in Brahmasthana, or the place where Brahma is, or the place of God Brahma, it is not recommended to construct anything in that center area. One, it's going to disturb the Brahmasthana, where Brahma is actually mythologically sitting on the back of the Vastu Purusha. And also, as we see here, that element is ruled by space, and in space it is not good, because the rulership of that element, the element which rules the center of that area or the center of that plot, or the center of that apartment, or the center of that house, that center area is ruled by the element space. So it is not recommended to have any heavy objects there if you're living like a constructed place, or it should be left open without any construction in case you're building on a piece of land. And once again, that's based on the Vastu principles, which is ancient knowledge which the Hindus have acquired over time. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, and as we go along, we'll be discussing about some other interesting stuff as to where objects should be placed once you've started to live in an apartment or a house or any constructed area, and what is the significance of those objects, which direction should it be placed, what kind of objects can get you what kind of energy. So it's a very interesting field, and people have experienced quite a positive flow in their lives when they started living on the principles of Vastu, because once again, it's from the ancient scriptures. So hopefully you enjoyed this again, and in the meanwhile, I will recommend subscribe to my channel and check out my website. There is a link below, and I will see you with an interesting topic very soon. Goodbye.